So let me tell you guys a little story. Now, a few weeks back, I caught some queen ants, and I was doing some research on what to feed my queen ants, and a lot of people said that you don't have to feed the queen ants, you see, because they have fat reserves to start their colony, but after they get their first worker, you need to feed them bugs, and I was doing some research on what type of bugs I could feed my ants. Now, you see, and one thing that was prevalent is that a lot of people absolutely love feeding their ants fruit flies, because ants love the taste of fruit flies, because fruit flies, since they eat rotting fruit, they taste sweet, but they're also like a protein source, a good protein source for the ant larvae. So nonetheless, I decided that I was going to start breeding fruit flies. So I did a bunch of research, and I learned about this scientist named Thomas Hunt Morgan. And what Morgan did is, in the 1920s, he bred fruit flies for experiments on DNA. And he actually bred so many fruit flies that he got some fruit flies that didn't know how to fly. Well, they had shriveled up wings that made it so that they couldn't fly. And these fruit flies, he used them as breeding fruit flies to, feed other animals. And those are the fruit flies that you could buy to culture at the pet store. You don't use wild fruit flies normally. Now, you see, I didn't go to the pet store or anything. I decided that I didn't really want to go to the pet store and buy captive fruit flies. I'd rather just catch my own wild ones. And I went on a crazy adventure trying to catch them. Now, you see, first thing first, I needed to learn about fruit fly culture, okay? So what I did is I got I watched a lot of YouTube videos, and a lot of the fruit fly recipes for making your own fruit fly culture for breeding fruit fly maggots were very similar. Now, first things first, you need a fruit. So you basically I took strawberries, but a lot of people used any browning bananas. A lot of people used those, and a lot of people just used any fruit that they had lying around. Look, that's a queen fruit fly. I mean, that's a pregnant female fruit fly with an egg sac or something, it looks like. So, nonetheless, a lot of people used, rotting bananas, but I just used strawberries because there were some strawberries in my kitchen with some fruit flies, with a fruit fly that was swarming it. Unfortunately, when I tried to catch that fruit fly by hand, I accidentally squashed them since they're so tiny. But nonetheless, I got this, and it was kind of cool. The next ingredient that I added was instant oatmeal. And the reason I added instant oatmeal,
Bluetooth mode.
Nonetheless, I used a packet of instant oatmeal, and I mixed it in with the rotting strawberries, and I mixed it into a paste. Now, you see, the reason I used instant oatmeal was because in a lot of YouTube videos that I watched of people breeding fruit flies, a lot of people used things like Hungry Jack or instant oatmeal to mask the smell, because this stuff, the rotting fruit, as you could imagine, really stinks. So this oatmeal just helps to mask the nasty smell of the fruit fly culture. Nonetheless, there are two more ingredients that you should get. And the final ingredient that I used is I used a capful or two of vinegar. And what I did is I just took off the cap of this vinegar and I filled it up with vinegar and tossed it in there with the rotting fruit and the instant oatmeal. And I repeated the process once more. So nonetheless, the reason you add vinegar is because, as you could imagine, I would suggest using apple cider vinegar. I only use this white vinegar because I really didn't have apple cider vinegar. But if you had apple cider vinegar, that would be preferable. But nonetheless, you put a few caps full of vinegar in there with the instant oatmeal and the strawberry, and you've got pretty much everything you need to start breeding fruit flies. But there is one more ingredient which helps attract the flies. Homemade booze. Now, you see, this is some homemade booze that I've been brewing, because I've actually been brewing booze because I want to start stilling shine over the summer, just as a cool experiment to get pure alcohol for my chemistry collection. As you can see, I've got lots of chemicals. I've got iron filings, I've got elemental sulfur, silicon dioxide, potassium iodide, lead. Those are some lead weights some old lead weights that I found in fishing, potassium bromide, sodium thiosulfate. I've got tons of chemicals. I've even got sodium hydroxide. This sample of sodium hydroxide, which is kind of contaminated. I disassembled my sodium hydroxide production rig because it was kind of dangerous, and I was moving bedrooms, and my parents didn't want me doing chemical experiments in my new bedroom since I messed up the floor of my old bedroom with chemistry experiments. Like, this stuff will eat through the wood finish. So nonetheless, I wanted to get some alcohol for my chemistry collection, and lucky me, I just added a dollop of this home brewed beer, and that really helped attract the fruit flies. Now, nonetheless, I left it outside for a few weeks, and I actually made some videos trying to attract fruit flies, but I deleted them because I kind of gave up because there weren't fruit flies for the first couple weeks. But all of a sudden, I go back there just to check it, and there's fruit flies swarming it. So I quickly get this, and I put this towel on it just temporarily to keep the fruit flies in, and it works relatively well to keep the fruit flies in there. I might make a more professional designed top later on, but nonetheless, this works for now. And yeah, and now look in there. There's plenty of fruit flies living in there, laying eggs. There's fruit fly maggots down there in my culture. And this all worked very well for me. And you might actually see these in an upcoming video, since you've got to move them out of these cultures once these cultures get moldy. There's actually a beetle in there for some reason. Yeah, look at that little beetle. Somehow a beetle got into the fruit fly culture, and now he's... I didn't really bother to remove him, because all these fruit flies, these are not the flightless fruit flies that you can buy at the pet store. These are flying fruit flies, so it's kind of hard to open here. I didn't really think ahead when I started a fruit fly culture with flying fruit flies. So yeah, nonetheless, you might see some updates on these guys in the future. Especially if you guys really like this video and really want me to do more updates on my fruit flies. And yeah, these are hopefully going to become a good food source for my ant queens. Who I would do an update on my ant queens, but I don't want to stress them out. And they've got eggs at this point. So I won't do an update on them for the next few weeks. But nonetheless, you can still see my fruit flies, and they're breeding in there, and that's really fun. So nonetheless, see you in the next video, and hope you enjoyed. Yeah, and I almost forgot. I added some paper shreds to the top of the fruit fly culture for the fruit flies to walk on, but it really isn't too helpful since the fruit flies are just walking on the glass. But nonetheless, yeah. That's my setup, just about.